Liam stepped out of the sleek, black taxi and looked up at the towering sky tower. Its glass windows reflected the sunlight like a mirror, and he could feel the energy of the city buzzing around him. He had traveled far for this conference, eager to learn, network, and maybe even find inspiration for his work as an engineer. But at that moment, all he could think about was the tower itself. It was magnificent, standing tall above the other buildings, its glass balconies stretching like crystal wings into the sky. He checked his bag, making sure his notebook and presentation materials were in place. Then he walked toward the grand entrance. Inside, the lobby was even more impressive. Polished marble floors gleamed under the soft lighting, and the air smelled faintly of fresh flowers. A large digital display showcased the events of the day, listing workshops, speakers, and sessions that Liam hoped to attend. He felt a thrill. This place was not just a building, it was a stage for ideas, creativity, and human achievement. As he moved through the crowd, Liam noticed people from all walks of life, engineers, architects, and designers all gathered in one space, exchanging ideas and shaking hands. He felt a small wave of nervousness. He was used to working quietly in his own lab, not mingling in such a dazzling environment. But he told himself this was a chance to grow, to meet people who shared his passion for building and innovation. Then he saw her. Myra was standing on a glass balcony that jutted out from the side of the building. Even from the lobby, he could see her clearly. She had dark hair that caught the light, and her posture was confident, almost regal. She seemed absorbed in the view, looking out over the city as if she could see every story happening below. Liam couldn't take his eyes off her. There was something magnetic about the way she carried herself, graceful, strong, and quietly captivating. He watched as she leaned slightly forward, her hands resting on the glass railing. The sunlight reflected off the glass and created a halo effect around her figure. Liam felt a strange flutter in his chest. It was just a brief glance, just a moment, but it left him curious and a little breathless. Who was she? What did she do in this place of glass and light? He shook his head to clear his thoughts and reminded himself to focus. Conferences were important. Work was important. But still, he found himself drawn to that balcony again and again as he moved through the lobby. Every time he looked, Myra was there, always observing, always calm, always seeming to belong to the city itself. Deciding to calm his nerves, Liam made his way to the registration desk. The woman behind the counter greeted him with a warm smile. "Welcome to Sky Tower Conference. Here's your badge and schedule," she said. Liam thanked her, feeling slightly more prepared for the day ahead. He glanced around, and once again, his eyes found Myra. This time, she looked down and waved briefly. Liam hesitated, then raised his hand in return. It was a small gesture, but it made his heart beat faster. He spent the next hour attending introductory talks, listening to speakers talk about innovation and human potential. Yet, throughout the session, his mind wandered. He imagined what it would be like to step onto that glass balcony with Myra, to share the view, to speak and laugh. He shook his head again, trying to focus. But the thought stayed, warm and persistent, like a small ember in his chest. Finally, the morning session ended. Liam walked toward the open balcony area near the center of the tower. He wanted a moment of fresh air, a chance to look out at the city from above. And there she was again. Myra was standing near the railing, the wind lightly moving her hair, her gaze lost in the distance. This time, she noticed him approaching. She smiled, a small, knowing smile that made him feel welcomed without a word being spoken. "Beautiful view," Isn't it? Liam said, stepping beside her, his voice slightly nervous. Myra turned to him, her eyes sparkling. It is, she replied softly. It feels like you can see the whole city from here, like nothing can hide. He nodded, unable to take his eyes off her. I've never seen anything like it. The glass, the height, it's incredible. She looked at him with interest. It takes courage to stand out here. Not everyone can handle the view from above. Liam smiled. I guess I'm lucky today, then. For a moment, they both looked out over the city, side by side, sharing a quiet connection that didn't need words. The sunlight reflected off the buildings below, but it was the light in Myra's eyes that made Liam feel like he had stepped into a place where something extraordinary was about to begin. And in that brief, silent moment on the glass balcony, Liam knew that this day would not be ordinary. After their brief meeting on the glass balcony, Liam felt a strange energy that kept his thoughts revolving around Myra. He returned to the conference hall, but the speaker's words seemed distant. Every so often, his mind drifted back to that moment standing next to her, the city sparkling below, and the warmth of her presence. During the morning coffee break, Liam wandered toward the lounge area. To his surprise, Myra was there, standing by a small table with a cup of tea in her hands. She smiled when she saw him approaching, and this time, the smile felt like an invitation. Liam, right? She asked, her voice calm and gentle. Yes, he replied, a little breathless. And you're Myra? She nodded, letting the name feel light and familiar between them. I saw you on the balcony earlier. You seemed thoughtful. Liam chuckled nervously. I guess I was. It's not every day you see a view like that, or someone standing on it looking so confident. Myra's lips curved into a small laugh. Confident? Maybe. Or maybe just careful. They both laughed quietly, and Liam felt the tension in his chest ease slightly. There was something comforting about talking to her, even though they had just met. Their conversation began with simple topics, the conference, the city, and the stunning architecture surrounding them. But gradually, it moved to more personal ground. What drew you to engineering? Myra asked, tilting her head slightly, curious. Liam thought for a moment. I've always loved creating things that make life easier. Buildings, bridges, even machines, they all tell a story of human effort. And you? Architecture seems like a perfect fit for someone as precise and graceful as you. He caught himself smiling at the compliment, unsure if it sounded too forward. Myra's eyes twinkled. Precision and grace. I like that. Architecture is about balance. Beauty without stability is nothing. I suppose I've always wanted to create something that lasts, something that can inspire people long after I'm gone. Liam felt a rush of admiration. He had always respected dedication, but hearing her speak so passionately made her presence even more captivating. That's really inspiring, he said quietly. It's rare to meet someone who sees their work not just as a job, but as a story for others. Myra smiled softly. And you, Liam, do you see your work that way too? He nodded. Yes. But sometimes, it feels like ideas are easy, and execution is the hard part. I think the people you meet along the way make all the difference. Today, meeting you, I feel a little more inspired already. Her smile widened, though it remained gentle. I'm glad, Liam. I've met many people in the city, but few seem to carry the same curiosity you do. Curiosity is rare. It's what pushes humans forward. They walked together toward the balcony again, drawn instinctively back to the place where their connection had started. Standing there, the city sprawled beneath them. Liam noticed the way Myra's hair caught the sunlight, how her eyes reflected the sky above. The wind brushed past them, lifting strands of hair and carrying faint sounds of the busy streets below. "Do you ever get nervous standing up there?" Liam asked, nodding toward the glass floor beneath them. Myra shook her head. "Sometimes. But it's a thrill, too. Being high above everything, it makes you feel alive, aware of how small and big the world is at the same time." Liam smiled, realizing he felt the same way. He had been nervous at first, but now, with Myra beside him, the fear turned into excitement. They talked about adventures they had taken in the past, places they wanted to explore, and small stories of childhood dreams. Each revelation brought them closer, laughter blending with the quiet thrill of being on the balcony together. At one point, Myra laughed at something Liam said, a clear, genuine sound that made him want to laugh too, even if the joke wasn't that funny. "You have a good sense of humor," she said, looking at him with a warmth that made his chest tighten. "You're easy to talk to," he replied honestly. "I don't usually meet people who just get it." Myra's smile lingered, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. They simply stood side by side, shoulders brushing lightly, the glass floor beneath them giving a sense of floating above the world. It was a quiet intimacy, one that needed no words, and Liam felt a flutter of anticipation, unsure of where this connection might lead. As the sun climbed higher, they reluctantly turned back toward the conference hall. But the energy between them had shifted. Something unspoken had passed, a spark that promised more. Liam knew this day would not be ordinary. Meeting Myra had opened a door not just to the world outside, but to possibilities within himself he had never expected. And as they walked back into the crowd, the city shining beneath them, Liam couldn't stop thinking about the next time he would see her. The conference sessions had ended for the day, leaving Liam with a restless energy he could not shake. He wandered through the hallways of the Sky Tower, hoping for a moment of calm and a chance to reflect on the day. Yet, his thoughts kept returning to Myra, the way she had smiled, the way her eyes had seemed to light up as she talked about architecture and dreams. He didn't know why, but he felt drawn to her, as if something important was waiting on the glass balcony where they had first met. He found himself walking toward that familiar spot. The sun was lower now, casting golden reflections across the city. To his relief, Myra was already there, standing near the railing. She looked up as he approached, and her eyes met his. A small smile curved her lips, and Liam felt a flutter of warmth in his chest. "Back again?" she asked, her tone teasing but gentle. "I couldn't resist," he admitted, his voice a little nervous. "The view is amazing. And, well, I suppose the company is even better." Myra's smile widened, and she turned to look at the horizon. "The city is alive at this time. Everything looks different in the evening light." They stepped out onto the balcony together, the glass floor beneath them catching the fading sunlight. Liam felt a thrill as he realized he was standing next to her again, closer than before. The height, the transparency of the balcony, and the quiet presence of Myra made everything feel heightened, almost magical. "I like this place," Liam said softly. "It feels like we're floating above the world, away from all the noise below." Myra nodded, her dark hair catching the light. "It's why I come here when I need to think. You can see the city clearly, and yet, it also makes you notice how small you are. Everything feels connected." They walked slowly along the balcony, their steps careful on the glass. Liam felt a strange mix of nervousness and excitement. Being here with Myra, sharing the view, talking about dreams and work, it was exhilarating. And every so often, their hands brushed lightly. Each touch sent a small spark through him, gentle but unmistakable. "You know," Myra said after a pause, "there's a rooftop garden not far from here. Not many people know about it. The view there is even more private." Liam raised an eyebrow. "A secret garden above the city? That sounds like an adventure I shouldn't miss." She laughed softly. "If you want to see it, follow me." They made their way through a narrow corridor and stepped into the garden, a hidden oasis of greenery surrounded by glass. Flowers and plants were arranged carefully along the edges, and small lights glowed softly as the sun began to set. The view was stunning, even more so than the balcony. Liam felt a sense of awe, both at the beauty around him and the fact that Myra had shared this place with him. "This is incredible," he said, turning to her. "I didn't know a place like this existed in the city." Myra smiled, pleased with his reaction. "I come here when I need peace. It's quiet, and you can feel the city breathing around you without being caught up in it." They walked along the paths, pausing occasionally to admire a flower or look at the skyline. Liam found himself watching Myra as much as he was watching the city. Her presence was calming yet thrilling. There was a rhythm to the way she moved, a grace that made him want to follow her lead. At one point, she stopped near a glass railing that overlooked the city, leaning slightly forward. Liam stood beside her, close enough to feel the warmth of her presence. "It's amazing how high we are," he said quietly. "And yet, being here with you makes it feel safe." Myra looked at him, her eyes soft and curious. "I feel the same way. There's something about sharing a view like this with someone who appreciates it. It makes the moment memorable." Liam's heart beat faster. There was an unspoken connection between them, a growing sense of trust and closeness. The city lights below flickered on, one by one, like tiny stars. He realized that standing here, on this glass balcony, he was not just looking at the city, he was looking at a possibility. A gentle breeze swept through the garden, and Myra's hair brushed lightly against Liam's arm. He turned slightly toward her, and their eyes met again. Neither spoke, but the quiet tension between them was full of promise. It was a delicate balance: excitement, curiosity, and the subtle thrill of being near someone who understood a part of them they rarely showed to others. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange, Liam knew that this moment, on this hidden balcony garden, was the beginning of something special. Something that might grow beyond the city lights, beyond the glass and steel around them. And as they stood together, side by side, watching the city below, Liam felt a quiet certainty: meeting Myra had changed everything. The next morning, Liam woke with a sense of excitement he hadn't felt in years. The city was alive outside his hotel window, and the memory of yesterday's conversations with Myra lingered in his mind. He couldn't stop thinking about her: the way she laughed, the spark in her eyes, and the thrill of being near her on the glass balcony. Today, he promised himself, he would make an effort to see her again. After the conference sessions in the morning, Liam found a moment to slip away. He wandered toward the balcony garden, hoping she might be there. To his delight, Myra was already present, tending to a small cluster of flowers that grew along the edge of the garden. She looked up as he approached, her smile lighting up her face in a way that made his chest tighten with warmth. "Good morning, Liam," she said softly. "I wasn't sure if you would come back." "I couldn't resist," he admitted. It's peaceful here, and, well, it seems you make it even better. Myra laughed lightly, brushing a stray strand of hair behind her ear. You're sweet. The garden is quiet, but it feels empty without someone to share it with. For a moment, they walked side by side through the winding paths. Liam noticed small details, the way Myra's fingers hovered over the leaves without touching them, her careful attention to each plant, and the calm confidence in her movements. He realized that her grace extended beyond her appearance, it was in everything she did. After a while, Myra paused at the edge of a glass walkway that stretched over the city streets far below. Do you want to see something fun? She asked, a playful glint in her eyes. Liam raised an eyebrow. Fun? What kind of fun? She laughed softly. Follow me and find out. They carefully stepped onto the glass walkway. The ground below was visible, streets and cars tiny like toy models. Liam felt a familiar thrill, a mix of nervousness and excitement, but it was amplified by Myra's presence. She led the way, moving confidently along the transparent path, her laughter ringing lightly as Liam followed her. You seem fearless, Liam said, trying to keep his voice steady. I think I'm more nervous than I admit. Myra glanced at him with a teasing smile. It's natural to feel nervous. Heights can do that. But if you focus on the view and not the ground, it's easier to enjoy. Liam nodded, taking a deep breath and letting the city stretch beneath him. He realized that being with Myra made even the most intimidating experiences feel manageable. Her presence was calming, yet thrilling at the same time. As they reached the end of the walkway, Myra pointed toward a narrow side path that led to a small, hidden terrace. Not many people know about this, she said. It's quiet and open. You can see the whole skyline from here. When they stepped onto the terrace, Liam gasped slightly. The view was breathtaking. Buildings rose like glass mountains, the sunlight reflecting off their surfaces. Far below, the streets glimmered with motion. And above, the sky stretched endlessly, painting everything with warm golden light. It's incredible, Liam whispered. I've never seen anything like this. Myra smiled, pleased with his reaction. I come here when I need inspiration. It's one of the few places that makes you feel like you're part of something bigger, yet still grounded. They walked slowly along the terrace edge, pausing at intervals to admire the cityscape. Liam found himself watching Myra as much as he was watching the view. Her excitement and wonder were infectious. When she laughed softly at a passing bird or pointed out a tiny detail in a building below, he felt a deep admiration for her curiosity and energy. At one point, Myra leaned lightly against the railing, and Liam stood close beside her. Do you ever get tired of the city? He asked. Or does it always feel new and alive? Myra looked out over the skyline, her eyes thoughtful. It depends on the moment. Sometimes it feels overwhelming, but with the right perspective, it always has something to teach. Every building, every street, every light, it tells a story. Liam nodded, feeling a connection not only to her words but to the sense of wonder she carried. I think that's why being here with you is different. I notice things I might have ignored before. And I feel alive. Myra turned to him, her gaze steady. I feel the same. There's something special about sharing this view with someone who sees it the same way. A soft silence fell between them, filled with a quiet excitement. Liam realized that the adventure of the hidden terrace, the thrill of the glass walkway, and the warmth of Myra's presence had brought them closer than words could express. He felt a gentle pull toward her, a desire to stay near, to explore not just the city but this new connection between them. As the sun continued to climb higher, painting the skyline in gold, Liam knew this day would be remembered. Not just for the city or the view, but for the laughter, the shared adventures, and the sense of possibility that Myra had awakened in him. And standing together on the glass terrace, side by side, Liam understood that this was only the beginning of something extraordinary. As the day moved into late afternoon, the city outside the sky tower glowed in the warm light of the setting sun. Liam found himself once again drawn to the balcony garden, thinking about Myra and the way their conversations had flowed so easily. The anticipation of seeing her again made his steps quicken as he approached the familiar glass doors. When he arrived, Myra was already there, standing near the railing. The sunlight touched her hair, giving it a golden sheen, and her eyes lit up when she noticed him. Liam's chest tightened with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Liam," she said softly, her smile warm. "You're here again." "I couldn't resist," he admitted. "It's peaceful here. And, well, I enjoy talking with you." Myra laughed lightly. "I enjoy talking with you too. It's rare to meet someone who listens as much as they speak." They stepped onto the glass balcony, the wind playing gently with their hair. The city below shimmered in the evening light, and for a moment, neither spoke. Liam found himself taking in the sight of Myra standing beside him, the calm confidence she carried, and the subtle beauty of her presence. After a while, Myra broke the silence. "Do you ever feel like you're living life in a rush? Like days pass by, and you don't get to pause?" Liam nodded slowly. "Yes. I think that's why moments like this feel important. Being here, with you, I can slow down and notice things I usually miss." She smiled softly. "I feel the same. Life is full of responsibilities, deadlines, and noise. But here, it's just us and the city. It's easy to forget everything else." They walked side by side along the balcony, each step careful on the glass. The wind carried a gentle chill, but neither seemed to notice. Liam felt a growing warmth in his chest, a combination of admiration and a subtle thrill at being near Myra. "I've never met someone like you before," Liam said quietly, his voice low. "You're confident, thoughtful, and inspiring. Talking to you makes me feel like I can see the world differently." Myra turned to him, her eyes meeting his. "And I've never met someone like you either. You notice details, you care about what you do, and you seem to believe in more than just yourself. That's rare." The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the balcony and painting the city below in shades of gold and orange. Liam felt a sense of closeness that went beyond words. He realized that the connection between them was not just curiosity or attraction, it was something deeper, a mutual understanding and appreciation of each other's thoughts and feelings. "Do you ever feel lonely, even when you're surrounded by people?" Liam asked, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. Myra's expression softened. "Yes. I often feel that way. In my work, I'm surrounded by people, but it's rare to meet someone who truly understands you. Someone who sees what's inside, not just what's visible on the surface." Liam felt a strong urge to reach out, to let her know she was not alone. "I understand," he said. "Sometimes, I feel that too. But moments like this, meeting someone who shares your thoughts, your passions, it changes everything. It makes life feel fuller." Myra's eyes glistened slightly in the evening light, and she gave a small, genuine smile. "I'm glad I met you, Liam. It feels safe to share these thoughts with you." For a few quiet moments, they simply stood side by side, the wind brushing past them, the city glowing below. Their shoulders brushed lightly, and Liam felt a shiver of anticipation. There was a subtle tension in the air, a mixture of excitement and connection that neither wanted to rush but both recognized. "I feel the same way," Liam said softly. "Being here with you, it makes me feel like I can be myself. And I want to know more about you, understand you better." Myra's smile grew warmer, and she nodded. "I want that too." As the sun continued to set, painting the glass balcony in shades of gold, Liam realized that their connection was no longer just a spark, it was becoming something real, something meaningful. The city below might have been vast and busy, but up here, on the glass balcony, it felt like time had slowed, leaving only the two of them and the quiet understanding growing between them. And in that shared silence, Liam and Myra understood something important. Sometimes, the simplest moments standing together, sharing thoughts, feeling the wind and the warmth of another person can be the most unforgettable. As the first lights of the city began to twinkle, they leaned slightly closer, a silent promise forming between them. This evening, this moment, was only the beginning of something extraordinary. The next morning, Liam woke with a feeling of excitement, but it was tinged with unease. He had been called back urgently to handle a project in another city. It was important work, but the timing could not have been worse. He thought of Myra immediately, remembering their quiet moments on the glass balcony, the hidden terrace, and the rooftop garden. Saying goodbye felt heavier than he had expected. After packing quickly, Liam made his way to the Sky Tower balcony garden, hoping to see Myra one last time before leaving. When he arrived, she was already there, standing near the railing, looking out over the city. The sunlight caught her hair, making it shine like gold. Her presence, calm yet radiant, made Liam pause. "Liam," she said softly, turning to him. Her smile was warm, but he could see a hint of disappointment in her eyes. "I didn't want to leave without seeing you," he admitted. "There's something I need to take care of, but I'll come back as soon as I can." Myra nodded slowly, her expression understanding but tinged with sadness. "I understand. Responsibilities are important. But, it feels sudden." Liam felt a pang in his chest. He wished he could stay, to spend more time with her, to explore the connection they had begun. "I promise I'll return," he said earnestly. "And when I do, I hope we can pick up right where we left off." They walked slowly along the glass balcony, the wind brushing past them. Liam noticed how the city below seemed smaller from this height, yet somehow brighter when he stood next to Myra. She leaned slightly on the railing, her eyes distant for a moment, and Liam felt the weight of the moment pressing gently on both of them. "I'll miss this, and you," Liam admitted softly, his voice barely above a whisper. Myra smiled, a mixture of warmth and longing. "I'll miss you too. But I trust you'll return. I'll be here." For a moment, they simply stood side by side, looking out over the city. The quiet of the balcony contrasted with the bustling streets below, giving them a sense of intimacy, even in the shadow of parting. Liam realized that it wasn't just the city or the views that made these moments special, it was the shared connection, the understanding that they had discovered in each other. As the time to leave drew nearer, Liam and Myra exchanged small gestures that spoke louder than words. A gentle touch on the arm, a shared smile, a lingering glance. Each moment was charged with unspoken emotion, a promise that distance could not diminish. When the taxi arrived to take Liam to the airport, he turned to Myra one last time. "I'll see you soon," he said firmly, as much to reassure himself as to reassure her. "I'll be waiting," Myra replied, her voice steady, though her eyes shimmered with emotion. "Take care of yourself." He hesitated for a heartbeat, then stepped forward and gave her hand a gentle squeeze. It was a simple gesture, but it carried the weight of the bond they had formed, the unspoken promise of reunion. As he left, Liam felt a mix of determination and longing. The city lights, the glass balcony, the quiet moments they had shared, all of it was etched in his memory. He knew that this was not an ending, but a temporary pause, a chapter that would continue once he returned. Myra watched him disappear into the streets below, her heart heavy yet hopeful. She leaned against the railing, letting the wind brush past her face. Even though Liam was gone, she felt a sense of anticipation. They had shared something rare, something that could not be forgotten simply because of distance or responsibilities. The day moved forward slowly for both of them. Liam worked tirelessly in the other city, yet his mind often wandered back to Myra and the moments they had shared. Every time he thought of her laughter, the sparkle in her eyes, or the thrill of the glass balcony, he felt a renewed energy, a reminder of why he worked hard and dreamed big. For Myra, the hours passed with quiet reflection. She wandered the balcony and the hidden garden, recalling their conversations, their laughter, and the feeling of being truly seen by someone who understood her. It was a small comfort, but it kept hope alive. And in both their hearts, a silent promise remained, that distance was temporary, and the connection they had discovered would not fade. It was a bond built on shared moments, curiosity, and trust, something stronger than just attraction. As the sun set over the city, Myra looked out over the skyline, feeling certain of one thing: Liam would return. And when he did, the glass balcony would once again hold their laughter, their stories, and the quiet, thrilling beginnings of something extraordinary. A week had passed since Liam had left the city, and each day had felt longer than the one before. He had been busy with work, yet no matter how many problems he solved or meetings he attended, his thoughts always returned to Myra. The quiet thrill of the glass balcony, the rooftop garden, and the hidden terrace haunted him in the best way possible. Finally, the day came when he could return. Liam's heart raced as he approached the sky tower, his steps quick and eager. The city seemed brighter than before, or maybe it was just the excitement he carried. He wanted to see Myra, to stand beside her once more, to share that special connection that had begun so naturally. When he entered the lobby, he didn't need to search for her. Myra was already there, standing near the elevator, her eyes scanning the crowd. The moment their eyes met, a spark of recognition and joy passed between them. She smiled, a warm and genuine smile that made Liam's chest tighten. "Myra," he said softly, almost in disbelief. "Liam," she replied, her voice filled with happiness. She took a small step forward, closing the distance between them. "You came back." "I promised," he said, smiling. "And I always keep my promises." They walked together toward the balcony, their steps light with anticipation. Liam noticed the same thrill he had felt before, the wind brushing past them, the city sprawling below, the feeling of floating above everything. But this time, it felt different. It was not just about the view or the adventure, it was about being together again, about the connection that had grown in their absence. When they reached the glass balcony, Myra paused, looking out at the city. "It's even more beautiful than I remembered," she said softly. Liam stood beside her, close enough to feel the warmth of her presence. "Not as beautiful as seeing it with you," he replied. Myra turned to him, her eyes meeting his. There was a quiet intensity in her gaze, a mix of relief, excitement, and something deeper that neither of them had said aloud before. Liam felt his heart race, realizing how much he had missed her presence. For a few moments, they simply stood together, side by side, letting the city lights and the fading sunlight fill the space between them. It was a peaceful silence, yet charged with anticipation. Liam reached out, and Myra did not hesitate to take his hand. The touch was gentle but full of meaning, a silent acknowledgement of everything they had shared and everything that was yet to come. "I've missed this, missed you," Liam admitted, his voice low and sincere. "I've missed you too," Myra replied, her fingers tightening slightly around his. "It felt strange being apart, but I knew you'd come back." They leaned slightly closer, the space between them narrowing. The city below seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them and the shared connection that had been growing since their first meeting. Liam's heart swelled with emotion, realizing that this was more than attraction, it was trust, understanding, and a quiet joy in discovering someone who truly saw him. "I'm glad I waited," Myra said softly. "And I'm glad you returned." Liam smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I think this is the start of something special," he said. "Something worth holding onto." Myra's eyes sparkled in the evening light, and she nodded. "Yes. Something that can grow, just like the city below. Step by step, day by day." The wind carried a soft, warm brush across the balcony, and they leaned slightly over the railing together, hands intertwined. Liam felt a sense of completion, a quiet happiness that came from knowing they had found each other in such a fleeting, yet unforgettable moment of life. Then, under the fading sunlight and above the shimmering city, Liam and Myra shared their first meaningful kiss. It was gentle, slow, and full of promise. The glass balcony had witnessed the beginning of their bond, and now it became the place where their story deepened, where their connection was sealed with trust, laughter, and joy. As they pulled back slightly, smiling at each other, Liam whispered, "This is just the beginning, Myra." She smiled in return, squeezing his hand. "The beginning of everything." They leaned over the railing, side by side, looking down at the city below. The lights glimmered like stars, reflecting the sense of adventure, trust, and shared dreams they now carried together. In that moment, nothing else mattered, just the connection between them, the thrill of being alive, and the promise of a future that would continue to grow, just like the city around them. The glass balcony, once a place of curiosity and excitement, had become a symbol of trust, adventure, and the quiet, extraordinary joy of two people discovering something rare and beautiful together.